June. Thank you for being here for the June 4th PCAC meeting. And we don't have a quorum yet, so we're going to have to pass on the agenda and the minutes. So I guess I can start with my chair's report, because it's the next thing up. And we had lots of good news about ridership up and on-time performance and a record ridership in June. And it's all here in the report. Safety, thankfully, is doing very nicely. Injury rate is going down. And what else do we have here? Oh, they're saving money by having an off-hours lighting project at Grand Central. It was a pilot, which was successful. So that will reduce energy use and costs. Always good. I saw some of the new Siemens locomotives running on the Hudson Line recently. And I was in the city earlier this week, and the train that I was riding from Tarrytown was pushed by the locomotive, which was decorated for the 250th anniversary, and it was renumbered 250. 9 of the 33 engines that were ordered from Siemens are in service now, and I saw one of, I don't know somewhere that they're getting ready to start doing something with the railroad engines. They're going to be similar, but there'll be differences. I think there's going to be 54 of them, if I'm right. So that will come and replace the entire fleet. Weekend service on the Harrisburg-Ossining Ferry began with Memorial Day weekend. Will run till the end of October. There'll be timetables going into effect, minor changes. Doesn't affect anybody here. And nobody is interested in FIFA as far as the rest of Hudson is concerned, but most of the effect will be at Long Island Railroad and New Jersey Transit, so I'm going to yield back my time to the Long Island Railroad.
Okay. Last month, the Long Island Railroad was out of service for almost 4 full days due to a strike that was called by a coalition of 5 unions over a contract dispute. No bus service the first 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Service was provided into and back to New York City on Monday and Tuesday during rush hours. Train service resumed on that Tuesday with full daily service in place on Wednesday. Monthly ticket holders will be reimbursed on a prorated basis for the 4 days the Long Island Railroad was out. And while the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council does not usually take a position on union contracts, we were steadfast in stating that any settlement should not adversely affect the 4% fare increase we're scheduled to receive in 2027. We have been assured that this settlement fell within the MTA's budgetary constraints. Fortunately, the strike ended just days before the unofficial start of summer, with the first cannonball to the Hamptons running on May 21st. Lost in all the strike news was the fact that the Long Island Railroad is now substantially complete with the Babylon Station renovation. The full 12-car platform is open with some punch list items remaining, and I need to modify that. It's more than just the punch list items, but again, the full 12-car platform is open. They are doing some work on elevators and escalators. Hopefully, within the next few months, that work will be completed. Yeah, they had an event yesterday, which I didn't quite understand because the platform has been open for at least two weeks now, maybe longer, and there's still quite a bit to do before you can say that the station is done, but whatever. The new Yaphank station has been completed. It's not open yet, but it's complete, and work on the new temporary Shinnecock Hill station being built to accommodate ridership for the U.S. Open Golf Tournament is on schedule. Regarding the Long Island Railroad metrics, after a difficult couple of winter months with 2 major snowstorms, the Long Island Railroad's on-time performance is back up over its target of 94% to 95.8% for the month of April. Ridership also continues to trend upward with 7.2 million riders in April, representing 93.4% of the April 2019 pre-COVID numbers. The MTA, together with the Port Authority, recently had an outreach effort to get feedback from customers regarding the upcoming station redesign improvements to make a station. We're hoping that the PCAC, Long Island Railroad Commuter Council, will get a seat at the table during the design phase of this project. but no promises have been made to us at this time. The MTA-LIR conflict with Amtrak continues. It appears that one of Amtrak's next-gen Acela trains caused a fire that severely affected Long Island Railroad service into and out of Penn the next 2 days prior to the Long Island Railroad strike. These trains were also damaged overhead electrical wires on Metro North's New Haven branch. The MTA has also stated that it has been kept in the dark about the Penn Station revitalization plans. While this would be of limited benefit to the Long Island Railroad, the MTA wants to ensure that this multi-billion-dollar project does not directly impact Long Island Railroad service during construction. The MTA also took issue with Amtrak's decision to take East River tunnels completely out of service during restoration work, feeling this work to be done overnight and on weekends. On a positive note, it appears that work on the first tunnel is almost complete. Work on the second tunnel will begin once the first tunnel is completed. As of now, it appears the East River tunnel work should be completed in time for Metro North's Penn access to start on schedule, pending resolution of issues with Amtrak on that project. Long Island Railroad commuters now have another way to access Grand Central Madison with the opening of a new entrance at East 45th Street and Madison Avenue. Entrance includes an elevator, 3 escalators, and a staircase. Grand Central Madison now handles approximately 41% of the Long Island Railroad's Manhattan-bound passengers. And that wraps it up for me.
Question?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jerry, yesterday, as we were leaving, I was with Rob Free, and he was showing us, how the station is gonna look. I agree with you saying I didn't understand either why they're having a press conference when the station's not fully done. But at the same time, at least we know it's not gonna just be one set of elevators, there's gonna be additional ones.
Right, that's what they're working on now.
Yeah. And the platform edges are very good, because it's nice to see a platform leveled. I have seen them replacing the tracks also, so at least it's keeping the platform even for the customers for accessibility.
The platforms were completely demoed and rebuilt.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add that it's nice to not have to figure out if you have to go to the front or the back of the train if you're changing at Babylon. Karen?
I have a question. So I'm very excited about the 45th Street entrance. That's a game changer. And the new entrance that they have at 47th at JP Morgan, that one, the escalator doesn't come all the way down. There's like an elevator, and then you have to get to the steps, go up to the steps, or take another escalator and go down a corridor. So how do they make the determination when to have direct access by escalator and when to have a more convoluted setup, or do you?
I don't know. That's an excellent question.
I thought that was a weird entrance. Mike, did you ever use that?
I do. I get the sense that's still a work in progress also, because they're doing the major renovation on the old Bear Stearns building.
So you think
I think there may be more to come.
So once they finish that, you think then they'll have it? Because that one didn't go all the way down either.
Yeah, I think there may be more to come, but,
Okay.
Yeah. I know, I always get lost. That's when you go in, you go down, you walk around, you try and figure out how to get where you're going. That's, a lot of that I think also has to do with signage.
No, I know how to get it, but with my mom, when she can't get the steps, I
Yeah.
have to look for creative ways to get her up. So
Yeah.
sometimes we have to take the escalator to that concourse, that weird concourse level, and then come down the hallway. So I kind of know
Yeah.
that, but it's just.
But you know because you know. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly. I love that new entrance.
And that new entrance is part of the old MTA building at 347
Yeah.
I
Madison.
did mention that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at when I go back.
Yeah.
has the, LIRR contract been voted on or ratified yet?
No, it's gonna take months.
I think it just went out. Bam.
Yeah, so it's probably gonna take a couple months for the, unions to ratify it, and then once the unions ratify it, then it will come to the MTA board. I don't anticipate it being official till probably September, because the MTA board doesn't meet in August, and I don't think they'll have.
Normally we don't meet.
Normally, yeah. I don't think they'll have the results back in time for July's meeting.
I have another question. How successful were the buses?
I thought they went, I mean, I didn't ride it in, but I was there at Ronkonkoma. They all went off on time. Ridership was way down, those first couple of days. But, no, I thought it went fairly well. But again, it added 2 hours to commute, an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon.
So
This
once
is
they get-
Trudy with a question. Does the MTA still, who owns
Trudy, hold on.
346?
Judy, hold on for 1 second. So Karen, Ryan, was on the crack of dawn shift welcoming the buses in at Howard Beach, and I was on the not crack of dawn shift, flagging buses to go to the right place. So Brian, you saw people coming in.
I mean, there was certainly capacity on the buses, so, you know, as Jerry mentioned, they weren't super direct for folks, so but if you had to get in, there was at least a way to do it. But certainly not a seamless situation for folks, but.
It's much better than what they would have had there been a strike in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a bus comes in with one person. And I also saw some people come to the bus stops trying to go, eastbound after the last bus in the morning had left. And there was, we said, well, you should wait till noon when they restart the trains, or you can take a local bus to, Nassau border, and then a nice bus to the Suffolk border. They were trying to get to Amityville. So, by the time they did that, they should just wait till noon, but they figured it out.
Okay. This is
One thing-
Trudy. Can I ask my question now?
One thing that was nice for us to see, though, was that the MTA and railroad did listen to our concerns. Their original plan was relocation, and we told them relocation is really not gonna work. They upped it to 5 locations, and it expressed some concern about the one location on the South Shore because of parking. They went from Belmore, they went to, at Lake State Park.
Yeah.
And they did that because anybody could park there. So they listened to that response. We got the extra location in Suffolk, they did Huntington, and I said, well, really still need something on the South Shore. And then they wound up adding Bay Shore. So they did listen. I mean, every time I voiced a concern saying we really should do this, we really should do that, they did, try their best to accommodate us. So at least we're the voice of riders, and it was nice to know that they were at least listening.
Absolutely,
With
absolutely.
no credit, but at least.
Yeah, well, that's,
Yeah,
Take it
actually.
Take it anyway, Jerry.
yeah.
Jerry got a mention at some of the
Could I ask my question now? It's a simple question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody mentioned 347 Madison Avenue, which was the old MTA headquarters. I just want to know if who owns, or does anybody own that building now? And if somebody does, who does?
They tore it down.
Was it demolished, the new building?
Yeah, I think it was demolished.
Yeah,
It was
demolished.
It's a new building, yeah.
Well, didn't somebody talk about 347 Madison and something
Andrew
going on there?
mentioned it.
That's where the new entrance is, so that's for Grand Central Madison.
I'll go take a
They
look
tore
at
the
it when I
building
get back
down.
uptown.
The MTA sold the property, the building was torn down after the asbestos was abated. And then there were some other issues, and then the building, it's reconstructed or constructed, and a new entrance has been, built for the.
So it's a new building at the same address, the old address.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm done.
You're?
Okay,
No questions.
I won't repeat some of the things that I had in my report that Jerry mentioned, but, we had record paratransit ridership in April, 40,000 weekday trips, 12 days with over 50,000 trips, so people are really utilizing Access-a-Ride, which is great. There's a new RFP for shoreliner cars from Metro North. They're dating back to like the 80s and the 90s. This will be on the Hudson and Harlem lines. They have ordered 252 cars, but there's an option for an additional 377 cars, and that will be obviously when the Hudson line goes to Albany, which there is still a push to have that happen. So we'll see where that goes, but those cars are really old and they do need to be replaced. There's a new Rockaway shuttle for the wonderful beach season. It now goes all the way from Rockaway Park to Rockaway Boulevard instead of Broad Channel, so easier to get there, and they've done a lot of work on the Beach 116th Street Rockaway Park Station, so that is in much better shape than it was. There's been a big improvement on the air conditioning for Staten Island buses. This has been an issue for months and months, and they have worked feverishly on it. So if you ride a Staten Island bus, your air conditioning should be working fine this summer. And if it isn't, please make note of the vehicle number, and let us know. There have been some rush hour changes to the 2, 3, 4, and 5 trains. They've shifted some trains around, which were like in the wrong exact period of the rush hour, but they're now in the more used period of the rush hour, so the service should be a lot better on all 4 of those lines. And we had record subway ridership 2 weeks ago, 4.5 million riders in one day. I was amused to hear Jerry, give the terrific ridership on the Long Island Railroad of 7-something million for the whole month. We had 4.5 riders on the subway in one day. People have definitely returned to the system. If you've ridden it, you've seen the standing room only conditions. Lots of GOs are taking place on the number 7 line because there's so much construction that still needs to happen. The Woodside Station is in rough shape, and the 30th, 33rd, and 46th Street Bliss stations are undergoing lots of renovation, and now the GO has moved, so they're being bypassed Manhattan bound instead of Flushing bound. And yes, elevators, yes, they're coming. So that's really great news for 7 riders, once it's all finished, of course. The TWU Local 100 are in negotiations even now, and we hope this goes well. They have said that they're going to use the Long Island Railroad settlement as something of a model, but we will see where that turns out, because unlike the Long Island Railroad union, the TWU Local 100 is governed by the Taylor Law, and striking is not basically an option for them. So we'll see where that goes. There is a big push led by Assemblymember Grace Meng to reopen the Elmhurst station on the Port Washington branch of the Long Island Railroad. There was a Corona and an Elmhurst station, and they both were, there's so many stations actually removed from the Long Island Railroad now, I can rattle them off, but I'm not going to because we don't have the time or the interest. But there is a push. Obviously, there is subway service right by where the station was at the Elmhurst Avenue M&R station. So they do get frequent service there. If there was a Long Island Railroad station there, it would take 13 minutes to get to Penn Station. Obviously, it takes a lot longer than that now if you take the M or the R and switch. So the MTA has previously said they don't think there's enough ridership to warrant the rebuilding of the station, and they don't want to delay the schedule for existing Port Washington branch riders. But I don't think the story is over. There's a continuing push to reopen Elmhurst, so we'll see where that goes. The feds have chosen Halmar and Skanska to redo Penn Station. The Hulu Theater will be gone, and there'll be a brand new entrance on 8th Avenue and 34th, well, in the 30s. On the southwest corner, we'll have a giant marble and brass commemorative icon there with guess whose name on it. He couldn't get the station named after him, but he's going to have his name on the station one way or the other. So President Trump's name will be on the building. Eagle teams are now using these new electronic readers to check and see if people have paid on buses. They used to have to stop the bus for at least 5 to 7 minutes while they went passenger to passenger. That delayed bus trips. Now they can just check while the bus is in motion. These new electronic readers will tell you from your phone or your Omni card when you last paid. So
there was a complaint about there being a delay from the time that they paid it. It's instantaneous?
yeah, it's instantaneous. Yeah.
No, there's still
I mean,
some
hopefully it's working fine now, but
Is it an update? It's supposed to be faster, but it's not like to the minute. I think it's like a couple of minutes.
yeah, but it's definitely faster, for sure.
Updated.
And G-Train weekend shutdowns are a big contention, again, with the Greenpoint businesses and several elected officials. This past couple of weekends, they've done Bedford Nostrand down to Church Avenue, and, the Court Square to Bedford Nostrand was operational. But they have discovered some problems in the Newtown Creek Tunnel, between 21st Street and Greenpoint Avenue, and they've got to work on that. And so I assume that the GOs will go back to the northern end of the G line before long. They've worked out several weekends. There were some big events in Greenpoint and Williamsburg. They made sure that those aren't the weekends they're going to do the northern end shutdown, but the shutdowns are going to continue through December, certainly.
I'll present it on, ready?
And I will end there.
Okay, did we get a quorum yet? Oh, yeah, what's the question?
Yeah, good question. So with the Eagle team checking, will they be able to discern if the MetroCard or OmniCard has errors? Because sometimes if you go to pay and it says, can't find or whatever, will it, the person won't be penalized if there are errors?
Yes, correct. I've gotten on some buses where the bus operators says, it's not working, just get on, you know. And if, I don't think the Eagle team would check a bus that was in, they would speak with the bus operator before they went through this whole exercise. Hopefully. I have noticed a bus where the main door, it was an Arctic, and the first reader did not work, but the rear two readers did work. I've noticed some people actually went back and tried it on one of the rear readers, most people did not.
Second question, I noticed with the G train, Bedford and Nostrand, they had shuttle buses on Saturday just waiting there. So if they do a complete shutdown, will they have shuttle?
Oh, they're not going to do a complete shutdown.
Oh, so it'd be the same partial?
It's sectioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll be either Court Square to Bedford Nostrand or Bedford Nostrand to Church.
And my last question, it might be between you and Jerry, but with the Long Island Railroad, where people are starting to ask for stations to be reconsidered, I know when they were moving that one-seat ride, when the Grand Central line came on, the people in Port Washington were very upset, and they talked about how they paid some of the highest property taxes and they could have lived elsewhere. I want to remind that Southeast Queens pays extremely high property tax in relation to not only other people in Queens, but also people in Brooklyn. And so if there's ever a case for additional service or increased service or other lines, then if property tax is being, a rubric that's being used, then it should be used more widely. That's all for that.
Okay, ready for our guest?
Randy, after we finish the speaker, may I ask Andrew a question after the speaker?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
James, the floor is yours. You
Hi.
The floor.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't join you in person. We are running around in a couple places this afternoon. But I believe there are potentially some new faces. I presented, I think, to most of this group about 5 months ago, but for those who were not present, I'm James Splendori here in the President's Office at MTA Construction and Development. The agency here at the MTA responsible for the better, faster, and cheaper delivery of the capital program. I have a short presentation I'd like to give just on some of the sort of comings and goings recently, and then obviously happy to answer any questions. It should be easy enough to share my screen, but just let me start here. And I hope you are seeing, you're seeing the back half of the presentation, but now the beginning of the presentation. Can everyone see the big slide?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
So, as mentioned, want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here at MTA Construction Development. So just sort of level set a little bit. Last year, had a really successful year of project completions, including 7 New York City Transit stations being made accessible and 3 on the railroads. As well as a first in a generation rail car acceptance facility in or about Sunset Park in Brooklyn that will make our rolling stock strategy long term much easier to implement. So we'll be able to get folks new, more reliable cars quicker than ever. As well as 2 projects that I think we are particularly proud of in that we at C&D, for those who may remember, took over the Omni project sort of in the depths of some of its contractual issues and delivered that, at the end of last year. $60 million from that budget was returned to the capital program. and we're able to sort of reinvest that into other projects throughout the program. So really happy with some savings there, as well as really the culmination of a years-long project and series of projects at Grand Central, which included, it doesn't look like much on the bottom left there, but that Grand Central tunnel was literally bored out of underneath Midtown with some really interesting new techniques. And we saved $46 million on that project as well. And made it a lot safer and easier to get around a very busy subway station in East Midtown. All of that adds up to $1.2 billion in savings that we identified last year, bringing our total above $4 billion since the creation of C&D, a number we are extremely proud of. And as mentioned, we take every opportunity to reinvest every dollar saved back into the program to build more accessible stations, shore up more of our infrastructure, and do more with less. But I know everyone here is not super interested in celebrating all of our great work and really wants to hear more about what we're delivering moving forward. So, 2026, we completed about almost $7 billion in 2025. We have a slightly lower target this year at $6 billion, just under $6 billion. That's primarily, these things take years. So some of the pause around congestion pricing has meant that some of our projects were, got a slight blip in getting started. But frankly, a $5.7 billion in completions is the envy of most capital programs across America. So, still really a ton in the hopper and a ton we're planning on completing this year. Making significant progress in reducing the Jamaica crawl. You can see that sort of looks like sort of concrete path there, which was a brand new bridge that our crews installed outside of Jamaica to sort of declutter some of the work there. Substation improvements, which include not only adding new substations to improve power, but hardening them. So, making sure that they're more resilient to water infiltration so they don't go offline as water continues to pump through stations. Extending the life of our structural repairs, and especially in the outer boroughs where we have more elevated structures. We're essentially doubling the amount of miles we're covering. The new blasting techniques we're doing here that we took from our Bridges and Tunnels group. Part of the great part about C&D is those folks actually talk now, and the people who think about bridges, we're able to sort of teach our infrastructure folks some new means and methods that are extending the life of those structures by almost 30 years. But I think for us right now, and especially for riders, the thing they most see is a really intense elevator modernization push that we've been doing over the last couple of years. And we will essentially finish that, probably 4-year push this year with the closeout of a package of 37 stations. And talking a little bit more about that. In this recent push since 2023, we've replaced 62 elevators across the system. On average, those are happening 2 months faster. So our an elevator that's taken out of service is taken out of service, roughly. There are some outliers, but roughly 2 months less time it's out for these modernization efforts. And there are 17 more that we expect to finish this year, which really closes out what was a massive push by the organization to get just about every single elevator to a point of state of good repair. At the end of this year, we will achieve that. Things may break between now and then, but in terms of our sort of overall asset review that we did, we will now have every elevator that we aimed to fix and that was up for modernization completed and back again more reliable than ever for folks who need it. So something we're extremely proud of and are really happy to see the finish line of this year. That's a part of something we talk about a ton. Our accessibility program here at C&D. We've all seen this map and this chart, I'm sure, but it really is difficult to really give the size and breadth of this program without looking at something like this map. That lighter color is the 115 that were made accessible or that were accessible before 2019. We're doubling, tripling down in the last two programs, with even more to come. Right now, we have 35. It's now 35 projects in construction. 15 more stations are in procurement. That's including 2 on the Long Island Railroad. And this is really, this is massive right now. We have 3 big packages, 4 packages really out on the street across multiple boroughs. And some of these are made possible by congestion relief, which I'll get to in a second. And the work on Long Island Railroad, I know is a part of a larger package, including the Babylon station that we just celebrated, and is really critical for those folks in Eastern Queens, and the western depths of Long Island as well. So, talking a little bit more about congestion pricing projects, folks will remember, we really hit the ground running once we were able to, feel that we were confident enough in those funds, now well over a year and a half ago. In construction or procurement, so these are the things that are really imminent that folks will see very soon. Accessibility at 22 stations. Critically, we awarded the Fulton and Liberty AC CBTC signal modernization project. So you'll see that on the map here, roughly the tip of Manhattan all the way through to Eastern Queens. The 6th Ave and 63rd Street work as well. So, this is a massive swath of the system that is going to see improvements through signal modernization, and then also, rail cars and a critical yard for folks and on the railroads, and frankly, Second Avenue Subway, which was we weren't sure we were going to have the money to really continue that project without this critical money from congestion pricing and the funding that's come through. So this alone, this map is really, again, is a capital program for most transit agencies in itself. And this is a small taste of what was made possible by congestion relief, tolling, and is moving forward as we speak. So there's lots more we can talk about that's sort of in construction right now, but I think the thing that is probably newest for some folks and that I know we're very excited about is some of the things we're planning for the longer term. And we'll see a lot more of this coming up in the years and months ahead. But 2 studies that, thanks to the governor and the budget recently passed, have been made possible. Again, this is sort of longer term planning studies that we're undertaking right now, but a vision for the Jamaica station, again, for Long Island Railroad. Obviously a complex we share with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, a transfer point for so many Long Islanders, Queens residents, and others. And we're working to sort of reimagine that station, reimagine the transfer points to folks taking the air train, to folks who are coming from the subway, and frankly, just from the street. This is a place that has seen a lot of change, especially with the introduction of Grand Central Madison, and changing rider trends and rider needs. So we're going to be reimagining that station alongside the Port Authority, and a visioning exercise has started, kicked off about a month ago for that. Also related to the Second Avenue subway extension is a plan, at least an early preliminary plan, to extend the queue even further west. As you can see on the map here, the sort of thought exercise that was launched was, we have a tunnel boring machine as part of Second Avenue subway. That boring machine will continue up Second Avenue and turn left to connect to the Lex line, the 456, as well as the Metro North. And the sort of thing we're in the middle of planning now is, what happens if we continued that boring machine? We have a really interesting opportunity, and frankly, a massive cost savings opportunity, to not sort of pull it out of the ground and start from scratch. If a future generation wants to pick the project up, we want to look at what it looks like to continue on while we have it there in the ground, and potentially create connections to the 2-3, the B and the D, and the 1. This is, a boon not only for East Harlem residents, but for folks in the Bronx, and really changes the complexion of all Uptown and Bronx transportation opportunities, potentially at a huge cost savings. So two things we're looking at and we're in design for as we speak that you'll certainly hear more on in the coming weeks. The coming months, because those are sort of long-term opportunities. But things you will sort of hear about, hopefully in the shorter term, is also ways that we can really improve the day-to-day of our riders' experience. So, the other two where we're talking about are, they're going to be months-long, years-long efforts to sort of figure those out. And same with these, but they're much more tactical ideas that we're thinking about in terms of our signals and bottlenecks. So as you could see here on the left side, we have a very complex set of switches and track alignments throughout the system. If you've ever sat on a train as it sort of pumped the brakes and then everyone looks around and hopes that it's not bad news and then you just continue on, it's likely that that is just a really complex maneuver that's happening through interlined trains throughout the system. We have an entire planning team that is focused on this and many other things, but one of the things they've really tried to study along with our colleagues at New York City Transit is, what if we slightly moved where our switch was? Would that speed up, even by a minute, the commute of someone going through certain sections of the system? So we're thinking through what the sort of most cost-effective and sort of most opportune places are to sort of address as part of longer-term planning opportunities, and then also thinking about what a station of the future looks like. So, even in this picture that you see here, it wasn't that long ago that you just used to peer your head over the platform and see if you saw a train coming, which it's funny if people who have recently moved to the city, they can't imagine a world before we had a minute and countdown clock. But there will be a next set of technologies that that folks will come to expect and that we think will really improve rider experience. So we want to think through what the technological, what the sort of back of house support will need to be for those sorts of improvements, and frankly, just ways that we can make everyone feel safer, more welcome, and more excited, frankly, about riding our system. And we'll be coming up with strategies and some ideas for that. And those, whether it'll take a form of a sort of formal report or some more sort of visioning exercises, but we're really excited to come out with more of that for 2026 on both of those fronts as well. And last but not least, this and more is really covered in a bunch of places that we're working on right now, including our This Week in MTA Construction newsletter, which I hope everyone here is a subscriber. If you're not, there are two opportunities to sign up through the QR code or that URL. And then our sort of not as new, but somewhat new still, capital program dashboard, which I'm extremely proud of, having worked on for over a year with our in-house team. We know that capital projects are complicated and messy and confusing, and we want to be the most transparent agency that we possibly can. So we are really trying to find ways to meet people where they are. We think these are two really important ways to do that. And we hope that, every rider, even if you're not riding a certain system, or even if you're an infrequent rider, we feel like, we are delivering and we are being held accountable. And we think that, we've been seeing some good feedback so far, and really hope that, folks will take us up on, reading more, getting more engaged, and really understanding some of the stuff I described and, what comes in the future. So, happy to take questions on anything that I may have presented here or any other questions that are on your mind, but I just wanted to give everyone a little bit of a taste of what's top of mind for us here at C&D.
Thank you very much for this very, very interesting presentation. I'm sure everyone learned something. I only have one comment about the 2nd Avenue Subway West. Sure, build the tunnels and then go and build the south side and then go back and get the tunnels later. That's my opinion.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, thanks. Rupert Bird, the Brooklyn rep for the LIRRTC. So when CD achieves these savings, is there a process or a program that where CD then also considers, looks back at any parts of the project that may have been value engineered out of the project before and considers whether to then, the cost benefit of using some of those savings, maybe changing the scope of a project, whether it's in the same project or maybe something else in the capital program?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so we tend to think about savings in a couple of different buckets. Generally, it's sort of planning a project very early on, developing the project and thinking about how we're bundling things and some of the value engineering that you're referencing, and then project delivery and being more efficient with our outages or sort of pushing our contractors or finding efficiencies where we can throughout sort of delivery. So that middle sort of category that you mentioned, value engineering, um, recently, and then I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds of how C&D works here, but we've recently launched a new internal process of how we're sort of kicking off projects. And throughout that process, what we're able to do with, we've done it informally over the years, but now we're really kicking it into overdrive is we're capturing different moments throughout a project's development and capturing a couple of really critical pieces of information about it. So some of our assumptions about how long things may take, sort of unit prices, what are sort of assumptions on some of aspects of a project, and we're capturing that throughout the life cycle at different moments. And I think that will really allow us to see time over time if we're getting better at certain things. And we've already started to do some of that. We've changed some of our, specifications on, one of the things I mentioned was the blasting and sanding or blasting and painting on our elevated structures. That was something that at a certain point, our bridges and tunnels folks said, well, why are you doing it that way? And we said, well, that's a good point. Let's actually think about how we can do it more like the experts on this. And we have implemented that. And that's now in all of the way we do our elevated structures. So we are getting better at memorializing these and making sure that they are sort of, tracked in a uniform way. But frankly, the creation of C&D was the thing that unlocked our ability to do that at all. And we've done it in some of these high profile ways, and we're making sure that we're doing it in every possible way that we see.
So, hi, very quick question, James. So at our PRC meeting, we brought up the issue of the Culver line and the structure there. Is the delay in finishing the project related to a rejiggering of your process, or is there something else that we need to know?
Yeah, so I will say I can't say much at the moment, but we've had some serious contractor performance issues. And we are in the process of bringing on a new contractor to finish that job. We can get into some more details once that is finalized, and I think that's imminent in terms of being able to finalize the sort of replacement in that scenario. But that was sort of unforeseen issues with the contractor that we were awarded to, that project was awarded to, and that was executing that project. And we're, as always, trying to find every opportunity to make sure that we get every dollar back, and then we do the work of making sure we get every day back that we possibly can, because we understand that it is it's difficult on the community at the moment.
One last piece on that, so thank you for that. So with this delay, do you think it'll impact other planned projects that relate to the Culver line or the Crosstown line?
It's difficult for me to say, because I will admit I don't have the entire universe of Culver and Crosstown projects as strongly in my head as I would like. What we try to do, and we have a group here that works with New York City Transit to manage our GO outages, or mostly weekend service changes. Every opportunity we have where a weekend opens up, we fill it with any project that needs to do work in that same geography. The efficiency is not 100%. There are some weekends where we just don't get the information early enough, and unfortunately, that weekend won't necessarily go filled. But we are working to, if we get enough notice that says the sort of outage claimed is not being taken, we try to fill it every single minute we can. I don't know what the effects have been, but I certainly know that that's something we're working on, making sure that we don't just sit on our hands while this project isn't continuing.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, James. This is great. I have, first, I love seeing the where the money from congestion pricing is going, and the fact that you'll soon be putting, I don't know if there's stickers or some kind of notice on the project.
Yep.
Sign. And I'm hopeful that you'll do more of that, that kind of self advertising for what projects are being funded with that, because I think it's a real good reminder for people about where that money is going. And that's the same with the subway action plan money, because I think that folks don't know. You have to look at the tiny little print on some of the big signs and stations, and I think that it really is helpful for people to know where their money goes. So, we're well versed in it, but people are like, oh, not this again. So, letting people know why. I would like to know any updates on Penn Access, and that you can tell us, and if we're actually looking at 27, or if I'm looking at my kids.
I certainly am not going to say kids, but there's lots of intense negotiations that are also not for me to disclose at the moment. But I think we are sort of overdue for our annual report on the project. So I expect that will come in the fall. But there will likely. I also expect that there will be some more formal news between now and then. But unfortunately, nothing I can report on today.
Anything that we can do to be helpful on that particular project? Because I feel like the delays have gotten a little less notice than they should. I think they deserve more attention.
Yeah, it's a lot of sort of commercial negotiations of where people can and can't be, what we can all agree on between MTA and Amtrak. So I don't know that there's a ton to steal the term, can scream about right now, but whenever we're able to sort of talk more concretely, I suspect there will be more moments for more meaningful sort of collaboration on some of that stuff.
Please keep us posted. We're happy to shout or twist.
And sorry, I saw Marisol, that there was a question in the chat. So our capital program dashboard actually has a full grouping of current projects that are enabled by congestion relief on a specific page, and you can find timeline, budget, and more details on the scope of all of those on that dashboard. And I'm actually happy to drop the URL of that in the chat. There will be more coming that are sort of still in development and design, but of the current sort of more active universe, you can find all that there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes. Hey, James. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
There is a question that it was brought up at the board that is, I'm very glad to hear, is the $156 million federal. Do we know? I know they had the list in the station that federal money was going in, but it was stopped because of political issues. Do we know, because now it went back in, do we know if those stations on the list are the same list last time?
Yeah, I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't know exactly what's happened in the intervening time. Sorry, Chris. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
No problem. Thank you.
Have any other questions?
Do you have any west of Hudson projects?
None that are coming up in the short term that have made the list. But there are improvements in the 25 to 29 plan for west of Hudson that we can expect to see coming soon.
Hey, we feel neglected.
Yeah, I'll second that.
James, really excited about the signals and bottlenecks report. I think that it's great that that's getting some serious attention. Not asking you to scoop yourself, but, DeKalb and Nostrand Junction have gotten a lot of, attention. Any others that are top of mind for you all that you think you'll be focusing on?
Yeah, so in an attempt to not scoop myself, as you say, I will say that those two are, sort of poster children for a reason. And you're getting at something that's sort of really important for the way we're thinking about these, and that, like, in in a similar way to how folks may remember we did comparative evaluation of expansion projects in the last 20-year needs assessment, we're trying to sort of rank things in a sort of similar fashion of understanding ridership and need and also cost. And those two, have been top of mind and are on our tongues because they are very clearly, sort of ripe. And others are, as we're doing more analysis of all of the features, are sort of, some are rising, some are falling. But you won't be surprised when you see those pretty prominently, and we're thinking through others, but not quite ready to announce any other locations just yet. We're really trying to refine as much as we possibly can all of our analyses on that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, hi, Jim, and thanks for all this. A question. I was at the kickoff of the IBX in Brooklyn several months ago, and it was mentioned that this project, in order to make room for the second track along a lot of the right-of-way, there would have to be some clearance and work done. Has any of that work commenced as of yet?
No, so that would be sort of in our construction activities. We are still very much in the preliminary engineering phase of determining, exactly where things go, sort of exactly how much space we need or don't need. And just to be clear, the construction, the entirety of the construction budget is not yet funded, right? So we have, that is a sort of more future state. But we're still taking feedback. We're still trying to understand exactly what the engineering needs to look like, and that will be on for for a little while, as it's it's a really complex project to undertake. So nothing on that yet.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, last call. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we look forward to seeing you in the future when you have more good news for us.
Same here. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
I'm told we have a quorum now.
We do, yes.
We have a quorum, but I'll have to ask the question, Channel confirms with Paige.
We
Okay.
the quorums are us, and we got a quorum.
All right, so we'll go back to the beginning. I'll ask for an approval. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for today. Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes were distributed and discussed. Might make a motion for that. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, so we're all done with that. We're up to Lisa.
All right, well, thank you. That was terrific, and it leads into one of my favorite topics, which is Metzold's Point, and accessibility projects there. But first, I want to, once again, and always thank the staff for all the work that they do. Henry's included in that, too, as part of our staff. And Benji, who's not here right now. Staff does an incredible amount of work for an incredibly small team. So thank you guys for everything you do every day.
That's why they're not here.
Yes, I know. We get to see them once a week, and we just here. So we have been very busy. I'm going to let Brian tell you some really good news, and then talk about a lot of the ongoing work that we're continuing to do. But I want to talk about a couple of things. So the World Cup is coming, in case nobody's heard that. The governor, the mayor, Jeno, and a host of municipal dignitaries, et cetera, had a press conference this morning who said, we're used to doing big things. Don't be frightened by traffic. We know how to deal with this. But take transit. And that is, of course, the best answer at all times. They have some plans about managing midtown traffic and bus lanes. So just be advised that during match games in particular, there are going to be some diversions and some changes to the way you might travel. And if you can travel into Grand Central Madison, and then take the subway to the west side instead of going over to Penn Station, that's a better way to do it. If you ride the railroad, you have that option. The MTA has asked for ambassadorship, so I think we're doing all signed up for that. It'll be fun and interesting to see what how that works. There will be a lot of people coming to see our city, and we want to show them that transit is there, and there's a lot of questions. There are 5 watch parties within New York City, but there's watch parties around the entire region. So we are helping to provide some additional information based on our rider experiences about the best way to travel there. Working with the MTA in that area.
The headlines around New Jersey Transit's approaches have been awful. Is there any hope that they're going to come around? I mean, I don't understand how we can tell people to take transit to a $100 wall for New Jersey Transit on that side.
So there are shuttle buses that are also being launched for $20. Personally, as somebody who goes to Jet Life Stadium on any given Sunday, it's a real challenge to take New Jersey Transit trains there, because you have to deal with this giant crush of people at Secaucus, and even somebody who knows how to do it is constantly frustrated by that process. I personally would find a different way, but I think that New Jersey Transit got the message and is reducing fare to something that is better. The governor did say, look, we know that there have been a lot of issues with the system itself, with the catenaries and with Amtrak and with the tunnels, and that's going to be carefully monitored, and that they're going to have alternative means of transportation to get people through. So I think that they're taking all of the justifiable bad news into consideration and making alternate plans, and they're working with a friendly administration on the other side of the river and the Port Authority to try and make things happen. And it really seems like there is an integrated approach. So that being said, we'll see what happens. Right? There's one day when there's a match. There's the Knicks could, if they're still playing, if they haven't clinched, will be away, but there's a concert at Madison Square Garden. So there wouldn't be a watch party outside the garden, but that's not going to stop people from going there. So I would just not go there. I don't know what the concert is. I'm not going to that concert either. But it should be a challenge.
One of the fears that I have about, is it FIFA? I'm not, okay. Coming to New York City, has the metro system sort of, I'm worried about vandalism. And, people going crazy, for weather, wind. And I'm wondering, you're in the subway, in France or England, then maybe they can have a way of getting down there. But I'm talking about, New York City. How would the MTA handle if there is civil disobedience?
In hooliganism? Yeah. That's a great question. So I didn't watch the entire press conference, but I did watch about a half an hour of it. All of the people who spoke, the governor, the mayor, Jano, and then we got into the Office of Emergency Management and other folks talked about safety in the system, the cameras, the platform barriers. They're going to run extra service so there won't be overcrowding, that they'll have additional police. But I'm also hopeful that there will be an awareness of a lot of people being very enthusiastic for their teams.
Is that the word?
Well, I'm trying to,
That's
positive.
a substitute for hooliganism.
Yeah. And doing the best to hopefully take lessons learned from what works and doesn't work in other countries, because we've seen how things can go really, really wrong in other stadiums and other nationalities.
I noticed that now they're using Roman candles. So, you know, if they don't have a gun, they'll have Roman candles.
Right.
Then have, you know, fires.
Right.
Once you have a fire, I mean, you know,
Right.
no matter how many police, officers there are, someone is gonna get hurt.
Fortunately, we have cameras everywhere in the subways now.
But hopefully they're not gonna do that in the subway, but, yeah, you're right, I mean, they do that, I live by a park that has seen a tremendous growth of fireworks, and, that's just on a Tuesday. So there has to be, and the police are incredibly fast to respond to it, and when I look at the community, you know, Facebook page, people are posting that, like, within seconds of it happening, and calling the police so that they can zero in and identify who's doing it. So I think that there's a tremendous citizen response also, but I think that there has been authorization for 12-hour shifts for the police department.
Wow.
So there will be a lot of overtime and a lot of people on duty. And there's not a lot of games being played here, but there are some. And there,
A long time, from June to July.
yeah, it's forever. You know, I think that we, as New York, as a city, as a region, know how to handle these large international events. We're more worried about what happens when the Knicks win the playoffs.
That will be something.
Just want to relate a mistake that I made, just prior to one of our board meetings recently. I was talking to the director of security about FIFA, and I'm saying, aren't you glad you don't have to worry about that? That's over in New Jersey. And I get spoken to.
It's everyone's.
They've got,
That's
they've got
region-wide.
quite a team of people working on this. They've been working on it for months. They will be working on it. They are working overtime. They are you know, he couldn't go into details about security arrangements or anything like that. But no, they're on it. Trust me. There is a plan. They are on it. They are expending a lot of manpower on this. The MTA is involved.
Yeah.
Despite what you might not think from the outside.
Karen?
So I was gonna say, isn't part of the reason that the cost is so high for New Jersey Transit is that they have refused to subsidize, the security costs?
That's what we've heard. Well, no, not the security cost, but the price of transportation.
Right, but I also heard that security was a big part of that. It's just not the transportation cost, but like crowd control.
I heard that too.
insurance,
Yeah,
it's
it could be.
security,
Correct.
I also heard they're taking 8 trains out of service from regular service to make sure they have them ready to transport people,
And they don't have near the demand they expected as of yet, anyway.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see, you know, especially we'll see who's in the finals, because that's being played here. And that's where I think a lot of demand will come. Chris?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add is, and I agree with you, I understand what Julie's saying, but the one thing I have not heard, not blaming the MTA, but Jersey Transit, they never mentioned if, say, those people who want to go see the game are seniors or a person with disability. And what is their alternative? And if Randy, as you said, if they get rid of 8 trains, they're going to stranded customers who are not just disabled and seniors or veterans, they're going to be stranded. And they're not even thinking alternative. I hear the MTA does it. MTA does an excellent job. But with Jersey Transit, it's like, exactly.
Well, so, Chris, I think if somebody wants to go to a game, there will be buses that are accessible.
If they're accessible, I just want to say on the Jersey end.
They're going from New York.
Yeah, I know,
So
but
there would be, because, you know, New York's got a good beat on that, but that, you know, we'll make sure, you know, we're making sure that there's, I've had conversations with Q, also about making sure that there's sufficient, and it's certainly on his radar and has been for quite some time, making sure that there's, ample accessible ride, vehicles available for those trips to the watch parties.
it's like the Long Island Railroad, when we did the strike, you did have the accessibility for those shuttle buses, which are excellent.
All right, Julie, one
Moving
more, and then, I'd like to move.
I was just wondering, like, how much more crowded will this game be than, like, a capacity crowd at a
It should,
regular game?
it's not.
I don't.
And, or Taylor Swift, T-Swift, right? So, there you go. Just, if we can do we can do Cowboy Carter, we can do Taylor Swift, if we can do, Ed Sheeran, you know, we can do the Jets winning the Super Bowl. It's been a little while, but it happened. We can do it, so.
I just wanted to say that I don't understand why, FIFA doesn't say something like, you know, if you guys do the hooliganism or whatever, the games will be stopped. And that would be great, because then if you put them in their pocket, they'll listen.
Right, but then I don't know. I'd also say, look, these games were here 20 years ago or something like that, and it went well.
Yeah.
I remember coming out of the Long Island Railroad, and everybody was happy on the streets. There was a lot less social media, well, maybe no social media at the time, but it was, you know, a very good, warm feeling, and everybody was really thrilled to be here visiting New York. So, okay, I do want to talk, so Met's Village Point, that is part of the accessibility plan. You know, at Citi Field cannot open unless that station is made accessible. There are many of the same issues that, the 7 line, up and down the 7 line are facing with the structural, defects that you really find when you take
Structural
its
integrity is
lifting
not
job.
great, yeah.
So they're and finding a way with the center platform to get the elevator up and down, and there's a whole issue of on the park side with the boardwalk, which is called the Passerelle, and trying to integrate the Long Island Railroad Station into that. So, you know, PCAC's been involved in this since 2009, I think. So that hasn't stopped and will continue even after this Mets fan is no longer here. But hopefully by then, it will not only be in the capital program, but the shovels will be in the ground. And when I say that, this Mets fan has no intention of actually going anywhere anytime soon. Just
saying.
if they've got a plan, we've got to have our own capital plan. Just internally, as you know, Jack ditched us in January, and our hiring process is ongoing. So we'll tell you more when we have something to tell you. I'm going to turn it over to Brian to talk about wins and what we won and what we're waiting for, and some of the ongoing issues, and Carrie talk about our reports.
Great. So as you may be aware, the last scheduled day of the state legislative session is today. Yes, Steve. Yes.
Holy.
Coming on tomorrow.
Yes, almost the entire session was consumed by the budget process being so late. That was challenging for us. But I'm very happy to announce that our Long Island Railroad Commuter Council bill to change the process for recommending new members passed a couple weeks ago. So it's, through the Assembly and the Senate, off to the governor's desk, and we're meeting with her team we've mentioned that it's passed, and meeting with her team to discuss it in the not too future.
What it is, because maybe.
Yeah, the bill changes the process to recommend a new Long Island Railroad Commuter Council member. Currently, you need 3 names, three people for each position, and it changes it to just 1, which is the same as PRC and Metro North. So that's great. I know the elected officials who have to nominate are excited for that, and we hope that it will help us fill the vacancies that we have on the council.
Great news.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and thanks to Brian for really working on that one.
But the bad news is that we still have a vote.
Yes. The bad news is none of our other bills passed. The One City, One Fare Act, which was included in the Senate's One House budget, did not make it into the final version. We will definitely bring that back next year. Spoken with Senator Comrie's office about that just recently. We think, well, you know, given that the fare changes in the odd years, a push for that next year will makes a lot of sense to, you know, even if it doesn't end up passing, to make enough noise to get the MTA to include it.
As we did with the senior disabled and Medicare eligible
Right.
riders being able to ride in the morning and the kid fares.
Yep. Rider Rep Act also did not pass. You know, we did have some struggles with that this year. You know, I think that and the Rider Act are two that we're going to have to reconsider a little bit in the fall, depending on how things go with our further discussions with MTA leadership about the direction of PCAC. At the city level, the budget is due at the end of the month. We are still very hopeful to get some elements of fares expansion, the 5-point plan that we put out late last year, included in the budget. The general welfare executive budget hearing is going on right now, and I know Chair Hudson has been talking about the future of the program, as has the speaker. We are pushing the mayor to get on board with these proposals. You know, they've currently been pushing for fully free fares for folks who are currently receiving fair fares at 150% of the federal poverty level and below. And Chair Hudson also has a bill for automatic enrollment for the program that we're extremely supportive of. That will probably come later after the budget process is done. But those two things, we're still pulling out all the stops to get that passed.
And the IBO.
Yes, that was the next thing I was going to mention. The IBO put out a very helpful dual report on fair fares and free bus service just yesterday, which we amplified as much as we could, and we'll continue to make sure people see. You know, basically, and they were very kind to reference our work a number of times, and, you know, their findings were very similar to what we've been saying all along. Fair fares is a very cost-effective way to deliver affordability for the New Yorkers who need it right now.
As opposed to free buses, which give millionaires and billionaires free transit.
And there's nothing, you know, expanding fair fares does not preclude that from happening in the future if that's what the city decides to do. But, you know, we can deliver affordability in this year's budget now through the fair fares program, so that's why we've been pushing so hard on it.
And it's something the city can do by itself without having to have the MTA involved in the state. And the mayor's office, in one of the papers, or one of the articles I read, said, stay tuned, there's more to come on it, they're looking into it, they're interested.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Not extremely positive, but there was a nugget there. And then the last point for me, you know, we've been talking a lot about making buses faster and more reliable and bus rapid transit. We're waiting on New York City DOT to put out their plan that we've gotten a little bit of a preview on. Expecting it essentially any day now, and then we'll discuss next steps on that. But we think it's going to be extremely positive for, you know, the work that we want to see done to improve bus service around the city.
Thank you.
And Kara?
Yeah. Reports, we have 2 reports in the works right now. One on the Interborough Express being led by Benji, which is coming along really nicely. There's been a lot of research on the IBX in terms of land use and the train line itself, but we are focusing more so on the actual riders who will benefit from the IBX and looking at categorizing them into about 4 different groups of the people who will be the winners of the IBX. I'm very excited about that, and that's hopefully going to come out very soon.
Are you also looking at possible extensions to the IBX? Or is that not part of it?
Not in this particular
Not in this.
report. We're focusing on the existing proposal.
Recently, there's been a lot of complaints that it stops several blocks shy of the Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue complex. And very least they could do is make it a little closer.
That's actually one of our recommendations is, you know, we want to push the MTA to make sure that the transfers are as seamless as possible for riders. There's a number of them along the corridor that are, you know, just based on where the tracks are, not exactly, you know, a block or in some cases or two, or Jackson Heights is an extreme case.
Well, they already removed one so that it's closer to the Broadway Junction complex.
Yep. So, you know, making sure that those are as many in-system transfers as possible as opposed to out-of-system transfers, we think is really important for making the project work.
My question to C&D earlier was actually sort of motivated by this case in particular, where if C&D is finding savings from different things on IBX, can they start spending some of that savings on improving connections? Because there's been a couple public appearances where Jamie Torres Springer has indicated that they're really focusing on building out capacity first and then maybe like spending money on things like better transfers later. But if there's a way to really push to the quality transfers sooner rather than later, I think that would be great.
At 74, when they did their announcement in the first press conference, I was wandering around for 10 minutes trying to find out where they were, where the station is going to be, because it's in somebody's yard, basically, somebody's front.
6 or 7 blocks east of the complex.
You can see the 7 train, but you have to walk around.
That one does, like, I guess, have the trade-off of, like, if you turn it, it makes it harder to do a northern expansion at any point. But, yeah.
But they could figure something out.
Yeah.
There's definitely a way to make it connect better.
Yeah.
And also the fare policy, we want to make sure it's also seamless transfers, both between the IBX and the subway and the bus, but also the railroads and places where you can transfer between the Long Island Railroad and the IBX. We want that to be very clear and obvious as well. And the second report that you've all heard about is the signage and wayfinding report that Henry is working on. It's also coming along nicely, and we have some sort of guiding principles that will be seen throughout all the different recommendations. And again, if anyone has encounters any stations or intersections that you see on your travels around the city and the region, please do let us know if you think of any ways that they could be here. Always open to more feedback.
Thank you. All right, old business? Go ahead, Ann.
I have some questions. I know if we get updates now or at a future meeting about Queens Lake versus Queens Way, 34th Street Busway.
So can I just talk about Queens
Sure.
Linkway first for a sec? So, Mayor has come out on the side of Queensway for, as a very simple differentiation. Queensway is the proposal to take the right away and have it built as a park that does not preclude transit in the future. Whereas Queens Link is a transit park integrated facility. The mayor's come out on the side of Queensway. Queens Link organization is not giving up yet. So they actually have asked us for a letter of support.
What are they looking for? Are they looking for Long Island Railroad, or are they looking for subway? Or are they looking for?
They're looking for something like IBX.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what are they looking?
So they have a very detailed proposal. What they would need to do, Queens Link, would be there's funding for something called Met Park that they would need to have transferred to Link. I haven't delved as closely into it as I need to before making the recommendation that we do or don't sign on to this letter. The MTA said it's going to cost $2 billion to build this out.
20 years needs assessment evaluated both LIRR or transit extensions, and to my knowledge, the Queensland group is pushing for the transit extension, not the LIRR.
It'd be an extension of the M train, essentially.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
And a possible restoration of the Woodhaven Long Island Railroad Station.
Yeah.
So there's still, they're not going down without a fight. Good.
Thank you for that. So
Yeah,
that
we attended a press event about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. Hot day. Hot day.
Hot day, yes, it was a hot day.
Rodrigo Park, yeah.
I want to say that the funding for the Metropolitan Hub, that's what they're branding,
Yeah.
but there's section of parkland, they're trying to build. Queensway supporters make the argument that it won't preclude transit. Queenslink thinks it's a lie, because they have, presented alternate designs, that they think, would make it so that a linear park and a transit facility could work side by side, but Queenslink thinks that the Queensway proposal does preclude transit and that they're just PRing their way around the truth.
So this is what I say. The George Washington Bridge does not preclude transit. When's the last time you saw a train go up? People. Yeah.
That was the proposal when the bridge opened in 1931.
Verrazano, well, I guess before the Verrazano, there was supposed to be the subway, which they started to build, and then they stopped it.
Doing the archery.
So, the other things are the 34th Street Busway, and then, I think both 42nd Street and...
So the 34th Street Busway, the, mayoral administration had said, and does jump in, that they're going to move ahead with the plans for the busway that would still allow, trucks and deliveries, and cars to turn. So it would be modeled on the 14th Street.
Okay.
And that the mayor's spokespeople or whomever is talking about it is saying that they've been in conversations with the federal administration. I think the feds are saying that too, that it needs to be added to the TIP, which is a federal planning document, as you know, federal planning document. So I haven't seen the TIP document yet, but those changes do come through, so keep your eyes out on that. When it's added to the TIP, then it's closer.
Okay. And then 42nd Street and Fifth Avenue improvements. I think with the Fifth Avenue, they wanted the buses in the middle. Is that still don't know.
Well, that's what they're doing in Brooklyn, right? Buses in the middle?
Yeah, Flatbush.
On the Flatbush, on the
Which they're working on
B41,
right now.
yeah.
Yep.
And with the Park Avenue and with the park, are there any, are they thinking of bringing transit back to Park Avenue or just leaving it?
They've talked about widening the medians, back to their original glory. But from what, one of the designs I saw, I think was possibly for bike paths, but I don't know that that is the case. I don't know that anything's been finalized on that.
And my last thing, my last two things, Bronx-Queens connections, transit. On the bus, what,
Never know.
that whole thing with IBX was supposed to be from the Bronx to Brooklyn and the Bronx. And, you know, I get frustrated, all the time, especially when you're further east of Queens and, you know, you have to spend your time going west and then coming north to go back east and.
Yeah, same with the, Penn Access.
Yes.
And no, stop in
Since
Queens.
the relations with Amtrak are a little strained right now for various reasons, including, you know,
Gotcha.
Penn Access and the issues in the East River tunnels and Penn Station, and Amtrak apparently can keep the catenary going 450 miles from Washington to Boston in good shape, but the 10 miles from Newark Penn Station to New York Penn Station, they cannot.
Right.
There's just a lot of issues with Amtrak, and they would need Amtrak to be able to have the IBX go over the Hellgate Bridge, obviously. So we have to see where that all goes.
And there's nothing that can be done with the other bridges.
Five-row bridge, I don't think.
But better bus.
Yeah, many employees who live in the Bronx and work at LaGuardia are looking for some sort of connection, and if it means the Triborough Bridge, you know, or the Whitestone Bridge or something, they've got to get that connection.
There are USPS routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
And the Q44.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably the best one.
Yeah, kind of old business, I don't know whether it's us or not, but do you hear anything more from the Port Authority about AirTrain to LaGuardia? Is that totally dead, or, because originally it was gonna be from Willis Point, and then, well, that died, we know that died. So then they were thinking about maybe going to Woodside, and
That's the right way to do it.
but haven't heard a thing.
Not lately.
Is it just dead, or is it?
Just they are building a dedicated bus lane, right? It's a dedicated bus lane on the Van Wyck, the Grand
White.
Central maybe? Oh, the Van,
A lot of
they're
people
building a
say-
dedicated bus lane for the, so that the Q-70 is not just caught in regular traffic. That is supposed to make it, a faster way to get by bus to the airport. From, it stops at Woodside, it stops at Roosevelt, it still takes forever.
But-
And speaking with some, or Sharon has other routes as well. The 60 is from the M60.
60 is great.
60 is great, but you still have to deal with traffic. I've spoken with, or heard, I've listened to, some folks in the, business community who want to resurrect, AirTrain to LaGuardia, but they want, and I said, listen, we would not support it from Metz Willits, because that's just, that's just
I'm not saying it's ludicrous.
From
But
what I've
didn't
heard.
make any sense, Metz Willits.
Right, but from what I've heard, that there is also some legislative support for creating, for resurrecting some kind of AirTrain, but that it would also, need to have some kind of connector to, Kennedy. So then maybe making it from Jamaica.
That would be probably, to me, that would be the best.
Yeah.
Make it
So,
Jamaica.
that,
Like the World's Fair line.
Yeah.
So, people are rumbling, and I think that it's gonna continue to rumble, but I don't know if it's gonna rumble into a budget.
But I think it's something that we should keep our eyes on, because there needs to be some better way to get to LaGuardia, and,
That's for sure.
An AirTrain from Woodside where all the Long Island Railroad lines connect and have it elevated over the BQE, like the other one is over the Van Wyck, I just think it would be so quick.
To that end, the budget included, funding for improvements at Islip MacArthur that would create, improvements on the south side of Ronkonkoma, and also, I think, walkability, maybe a direct shuttle again, to, the Islip MacArthur Airport, because I think they're moving the terminal to the other side.
But there's talk of it.
There's talk, but
nothing's
there is
concrete at this point.
a feasibility, there's funding for more, for something that will move it closer to reality in the budget.
About the bus lane to LaGuardia, I think the only section that's confirmed to be built is, for a few blocks on Broadway. It takes routes. But I think, when it comes to the highways that usually takes, that was from a proposal that the Port Authority studied, but that was not, part of Donnie's, announcement. I think the only sections they're building for sure is at street level on Broadway.
Where it gets bogged down and everything.
Right. There is a proposal for bus lanes on Grand Central, LaGuardia, but I don't think it's in.
And where would such a bus originate?
I think it would be enhanced.
But the Q-70, comes from Woodside Station and goes up towards LaGuardia through Jackson Heights. To go all the way to the Grand Central would be way out of its way.
No, the highway that it takes is.
Yeah.
The northern part of the Grand. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when it finally gets up to near the airport, it's on the Grand Central. I see what you mean.
Takes the northern tip of the.
Yeah.
Sharon.
Sharon's regular,
But she's muted.
you're muted.
Still on
If
mute.
you're trying to
Sharon's still
unmute.
muted.
Hold on,
We
let's
can't
ask you to
unmute.
unmute.
We're asking you to unmute.
Or we can try to read the lips.
what Sharon says, nope, you're still muted. Sharon takes the N to the end, right? Or you take the the M60, it's a good ride to LaGuardia. But you do it at like 4 o'clock in the morning when you shouldn't be riding the subway by yourself.
But she's not by herself. There's plenty of people on it.
Can you unmute her?
No, you could ask to unmute, but we can't unmute.
Facebook?
Put it in the chat.
Maybe you could write it in the chat, Sharon.
Well, can I add something in, but there was something also they were proposing? I did hear from the senator asking for the, then the N&W to go to LaGuardia Airport too.
That was goes back to,
Goes back way back.
20 years.
No, I'm just letting you know, the senator still mentioned
Take a
it.
picture before you go?
Yeah, sure.
So that's, so that's all business, right?
Oh, I have another question. Did anyone go to the IBX community meetings that they had?
I have.
Okay, I was gonna ask. I know they had some between.
And Britt did.
Britt went.
And Brooke.
Oh, okay, how were they?
Fine. No, what I'm saying.
Hey.
And I'm gonna say.
Good report, Chris.
Thank you.
That's all I need to know.
I like the way, I just wanted to laugh. But no,
Care to elaborate?
but the last one we had was in East New York, and I will say East New York, the council member was there. There were some reps, and even, you were there too, and some of them too, Brooklyn and Queens. But you still have to check your passport. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I just did.
Sharon's unmuted.
Oh, go ahead, Sharon.
I take the N60, I take the the WN and to Astoria and take the 60 from there. And that works really well. But one of the things I wondered is, has there been any study, or is it possible to do a study on how much traffic has decreased? The AirTrain was mobbed yesterday in the middle of Tuesday afternoon. I mean, people are really using it. Is there any data on how effective it's been in reducing the traffic?
So out to JFK?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been too, well, there are, alerts that tell people, for the fear garden people, say do not drive because of construction, and to leave yourself extra time. So I think that is, putting people on notice that they should take the AirTrain.
All right, because it was just 1 million people, and in the middle of a weekday afternoon. It's really effective to have those AirTrains, and somehow it would be nice to have one to LaGuardia, and there wouldn't be so much traffic, and then the buses could drive.
I mean, I think also the fact that they've moved the Uber and Lyft lots so far away, it's not convenient to get dropped off there anymore, or picked up, so that the AirTrain is actually easier, to use, and it might be to just jump in for hire.
Yeah.
The yellows are the easiest. They're at the terminal, but the for hires you can't get. You still have to use another form of transport.
All right. Anything else?
But did you want to talk about that?
I attended one. Benji and I attended one in Ridgewood, and I attended one solo in East Flatbush. The Ridgewood one was very well attended. East Flatbush. Maybe it picked up after I left, but a little less so.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. But that also wouldn't surprise me because that's one of the ones that is not close to a subway station currently. And, it's like an open house format, and they had a bunch of different stations, addressing all sorts of questions like voting, encouraging people to vote on like which types of seats they want, and also like design of the cars, but also things outside the MTA's control, such as like sidewalk conditions and public realm conditions at each station. So it's a fairly broad picture, which I found to be interesting. But I was mildly impressed, I guess, with the scope of the open houses.
Were the participants, interested, skeptical?
Anybody say, I don't want this in my neighborhood?
The two I attended, I did not hear that many reports. The other Queens workshops may have been different.
Maspeth and Glendale, they've expressed that sort of.
Brooklyn in general has had less of that.
Yeah, the first one that I attended on Saturday, which you're mentioning, Middle Village, there were some people, but then all of a sudden, when they did these different stations, as you just mentioned, all of a sudden, it woke them up a little bit. But there's still an issue in Maspic, still. But Middle Village, I can tell you why, I still don't get why they, but then it looks like some people are like listening to one person and one person saying, I'm confused. So the first day they heard all this and they looked at it and they look at this leaflet, where there was a booklet that came out tell you what stations you should go and ask those questions. It did work, because all of a sudden, the last one you were at with me at Ridgewood, it went with like a lot of good positive. First time we ever hear. And this is fantastic. I love this. And I'm telling you what they're all saying. And they're saying stupendous. They're saying everything, even when Andy Byford one for you answers. So, as you know, he'll say splendid. It's a lot of things that I just think the way they did it, this one was much better than the years past, because you're showing different areas, what they're doing, and how can we work together. If we can get Maspic to realize this. Yes, Maspic. Thank you. Well, that's what I'm saying. You say it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, it's not easy with a jar, so thank you, Andrew, for backing me up.
You're welcome.
And I do appreciate it. It's just to see what people do. But we also did remind them to please do the survey. If they can't come, they grab this leaflet in all different languages. Yes, all languages. I'm looking at everyone in TV land, not you. Not you, you know. But what I'm just saying is the bottom line is it went well at the last one and the ones, but we're seeing a little more positive. But there are some people in the ballpark end who are a little going, oy kavat time. So there are some areas that we still need to put a wrench, but I will just, and I will say, thank God the borough president's rep was there, but it would be nice to see other official reps to attend more in the other parts of Brooklyn, because the ECR one was well attended across the board. And I do want to thank the borough president's office, actually I want to thank him, because, no, I'm serious, because they got, your name was mentioned. Yes, because sending out the outreach out, and just letting you know, government relations has sent it out to everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Ahead.
Well, I went to the one,
East New York.
on East New York. I liked it. I liked the IBX. I think it's promising. The only thing that I didn't care for is that I didn't have a visual of the IBX. I had a flat plan. And for a lot of people with visual or have different types of disabilities, that would not do. And I was wondering why, in places where there are no visuals for this, to have a van that is modeled as somewhat of the inside of an IBX, not totally, the same, but somewhat so you can get an idea of how it would look. Or for the station, they had a flat plan station. Why not have a small model of that same plan on a table, so people can say, oh, so that's where, it's very hard to see something on a flat surface.
No, those
And
are
say
definitely
that and I couldn't understand why, if you're not going to be near a train, you're not going to have the IBX, at least have something that resembles.
those are great, that's great input and suggestions, and we'll take it back.
I was at a non-transit event out in Queens, and I met people who started talking about it. They didn't want it. And I asked them why, and they said it would increase their property values. They like having a house with a driveway, and they don't want tall buildings built in it. It's not going to happen in your lifetime. Kids will love it.
Yeah.
Nice one, Mike.
Okay. New business.
Brent? Lisa, I'd just like to suggest a future project once we finish the ones we have. And I think we should look at, maybe do some research into reopening stations. I mean, right, we heard about, Mr. Zing wants to reopen Elmhurst. Just mentioned Woodhaven.
Springfield Gardens.
When, well, that was the one in, all right, so there was one in Southeast
That
Queens.
neighborhood was long promised the subway, and what they
I know.
got, they got their
And-
Long Island station torn down.
And yesterday, I don't know if she caught it, I was talking, with Elisa Pica, and she said there's a possibility maybe Republic might open.
Yeah, that's-
They want to
yeah.
tie that into a bus system that
You
goes
know how
down
many
110.
stations the Long Island has closed?
Oh, yeah.
It's
oh, yeah,
unreal.
tons. But I mean, some of them
Republic
maybe
has
worth
been- yeah.
to bring back, and I think maybe that might be a project worth looking at this point in time. I mean, we just named like four right here, you know, one in Southeast Queens, Woodhaven, Elmhurst, Republic, you know, and you can have pluses and minuses for each of them. But I think it'd be something, you know, for a future research paper, once we finish, you know, the ones we're working on now.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, that's interesting, and I know the open data team has released some data sets that might give us some insight that will be, could be useful for a project like that. That's a good suggestion,
Yeah.
Mary, thank you.
Thank you. So, Republic has been talked about, so the BRT on 110
Yeah.
is actually inching forward.
Well, that's what she said, yeah. but-
Yeah, it's, I mean,
Who's
people,
Republic?
so Republic Airport Station, there was a Long Island Road station right
Years ago, yeah.
many moons ago. It's about, near Farmingdale-ish.
It closed in the 70s. It's right on 110.
Yeah, it's on the Ronkonkoma branch.
Yeah.
So it, Steve Ballone, when he was a
He was-
town
Oh,
supervisor.
he was only town supervisor.
He was town
That one,
supervisor,
yeah.
made a proposal to do a BRT corridor on 110. There's also a proposal for Nichols Road, which I think is actually moving faster, because that's easier, because 110 straddles
Yeah.
counties, and only one half of the counties want it.
Used to be a Pioneer station on that branch,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's AIRE, of course.
And there's actually some data on, Republic that we should find.
Wasn't Huntington talking about a, light rail or something, or some corridor, or did I make this up? Did they want some corridor?
That was part of the 110, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could have it for the 110 but I don't think it was a light rail, I think it was more buses.
But I said, maybe,
Yeah.
I thought it was
BRT.
okay. In my head, it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
We hear BRT, and you start thinking.
Your mouth got you on that one.
On Tuesday, I actually went into the Long Island, the Grand Central Madison entrance, and that is the only thing on the west side of that block. It is just the entrance.
Oh, the new
Rest of the
one,
block, flattened, demoed,
the new entrance.
ain't
On
nothing
45th
there.
Street?
Yeah,
At least you can find it.
yes.
right.
Very easy to find.
I'm gonna look at it after I leave the meeting, before I get on this thing.
If you can't find it, we got a problem.
Yeah.
All right, so we are,
One quick comment.
yeah.
We had that presentation on, construction and development. They have a weekly newsletter, which he mentioned.
Yeah, I get it.
If you don't get it, you should get it.
Every Tuesday.
Because it is very interesting. And then the other thing that we mentioned, we were talking about Penn Access. They have a quarterly newsletter. So, I mean, for everybody that thinks that Penn Access is languishing because of problems with Amtrak, there's still a boatload of work getting done. They're starting to build the stations, there's a lot going on, so if you read that quarterly newsletter, you'll realize that it is moving forward.
Yeah, there's talk about if they get permission and cooperation from Amtrak on various issues, service could actually start in 27.
Yeah.
Some stations.
Some stations.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'll shut up now.
All right, I wanna get people out of here early if I
Yep.
can. So, public input, you've all had a chance to speak. Anybody has something else to say?
Motion
Okay.
to adjourn?
Our next meeting is September the...
10th.
When?
September 10th.
September the 10th. Okay, so, all right, thanks again for coming. I'll make a motion to, adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you all. Have a good summer.
Thank you.
I know, for the timing.
Bye.